Premier Planet, Justin Barlow here, back with you inside the Premier Studio in Woodstock, Illinois. And I'm here to tell you what you missed if you weren't in attendance this last Saturday night for our 115th studio taping. Man, 115. If there was any time to thank you guys out there in the Premier Planet for your constant support, it's now. There were so many times we didn't think we'd make it to 100. Now here we are, just passing 115 and going beyond, way beyond that. And it's all thanks to your support out there in Premier Planet. We want to thank you from the bottom of our collective hearts. You guys are the lifeblood of this organization. Now, enough of the schmoozy stuff. If you weren't in attendance for PPW 115, here's what you missed. We started off the evening. Well, first, let me just mention this. The first two matches involved two guys who apparently feel like they just were born deserving of a PPW World Heavyweight Championship match. And being in the opening two matches, well, they took that as a serious insult. Number one, we had Chase Gosling, the former PPW World Champion. And he set out to make a statement tonight. He took major offense to being in the opener rather than being booked in the main event, or at least in a number one contenders match. And his opponent, well, as much of a master of mind games as Chase is, his opponent was the debut of Slappo the Clown. We have never seen this guy before, but he gave Chase a run for his money. He was all up in Chase's cranium, chasing Chase around the ring, making him just do weird stuff, and then Chase would snap out of it and realize, hey, what are you doing? What are you doing? Realizing that Slappo was making a fool out of him. And unfortunately, veteran instinct took over. Chase Gosling gets Slappo up. Bam! Face first right into the canvas. Gosling gets the 1, 2, 3, and a moral victory here tonight. Following that, the other guy who thinks that he was apparently born deserving of a PPW World Heavyweight Championship opportunity, Ronnie Veronica Metro, took on 0-1. Now, there was a lot of business to be had in this one, folks. Ronnie Metro, just like Chase Gosling, felt like he had a lot to prove. And 0-1, though, 0-1's quickly becoming a veteran here in PPW, using those martial arts, using that agility. Ronnie Metro, though, gets 0-1 right where he wants him, hits the famouser, 1, 2, 3, and like Chase before him, Ronnie picks up a moral victory at PPW 115. Following that, you want to talk about a light switch, just going on and off and on and off. Let's talk about Irish Andy Anderson. Complete change of personality over the last few weeks. Ever since Ronnie Metro gave him, I guess Ronnie would consider it a pep talk a few weeks ago, Andy Anderson's, it's felt like he's been a completely different person. And he brought that new personality into the ring with him to take on the Premier Academy standout and someone who's really starting to get the fans behind them here in PPW, the Wolf of Monterrey, El Lobo. Now, El Lobo, we know that he likes to use those drop kicks. He likes to run the ropes. He likes to throw his opponent off balance with that speed and that agility. Andy Anderson, though, 20-plus years in this business. He had El Lobo scouted. He was watching tapes of the newcomer, but it seemed like almost miraculously, El Lobo walked away with the victory in this one. He's able to roll Andy up 1, 2, 3, but before El Lobo could get his hand raised, who comes in but the person who's been standing at ringside in Andy's corner the whole time, Ronnie Veronica Metro, and the two start wailing on El Lobo. That is until the human video game, Scott Colton, who has an axe to grind with both Andy Anderson and Ronnie Metro for that separated shoulder he suffered a few weeks ago, comes down, arm in sling, but wielding a steel chair, chases Andy and Ronnie out of the ring with it, and then he reveals, hey, if you guys want to brawl, guess what? Undoes the sling, throws it to the side, and says, I'm ready to go. And he lays down the challenge for a tag team match, him and El Lobo against Andy and Ronnie. Andy and Ronnie accepted, but on the condition that they wait until after intermission so they could have a chance to regroup. But once the intermission was done, there was no more running. It was time for Ronnie and Andy to face the music. They took on El Lobo and Scott Colton. The strategy seemed to be divide and conquer in this one. For the majority of the match, it seemed, Andy and Ronnie had El Lobo isolated, and as they were wearing him down, Scott Colton a couple of times got ahead of himself, jumped into the ring, which caused the ref to push him back, and as the ref was distracted, it became a 2-on-1 between Ronnie and Andy against El Lobo. But once there was a separation that happened, El Lobo gets over to his corner, tags in Colton. Colton is on fire because he's been on the shelf, and like I said before, he's got an axe to grind with these two. Colton starts using that speed and that agility, flying all over the ring, throws Andy and Ronnie completely off their game, and while Andy and Ronnie did regain the advantage briefly, it was quickly lost, and El Lobo and Scott Colton were able to roll both guys up at the same time, 1, 2, 3, and Scott Colton and El Lobo win over Andy Anderson and Ronnie Metro tonight, who were left in an emotional mess in the middle of the ring. Ronnie even had to carry Andy out. The two were just so unbelievably distraught, but it was to the complete delight of the Premier Planet, and we are so glad to see Scott Colton recuperating a lot faster than we thought he would from that separated shoulder. Following that big main event last week, oh man, if you didn't see the World Heavyweight Championship match from PPW 114, you need to see it. It was amazing. Matt Vine and Woodstock's own Iniestra. These guys put on such a hell of a performance that after the match, CEO Randy Ricci said, you know what? That was such an impressive match that he granted Iniestra a rematch against Vine without Iniestra even having to ask for it. So going into this one, a lot of people thought this would be Iniestra's moment. That moment he would finally close the gap, because each and every time these two get in the ring together, it seems like that gap just gets a little bit shorter each and every time. A lot of people thought it was going to be Iniestra's night, and it seemed like it would be until what happens? We get Chase Gosling, Ronnie Metro, and Andy Anderson sneaking down to ringside, hiding behind the apron, waiting for their opportunity. And as the cover was happening, they dive into the ring, jump both Vine and Iniestra. The ref has no choice but to call the match. And then Scott Colton, once again, second time in one night, comes down for the save. These six engage in an all-out brawl, but eventually Colton, Vine, and Iniestra are able to chase off Ronnie, Andy, and Chase. And Premier CEO, seeing this, Randy Ricci, watching from the monitor in the back, comes out and says, listen, I got an idea. It hasn't been done for a while in PPW, but this coming Saturday, PPW 116, we're going to have a big, major six-man tag team match. It's going to be the team of Chase Gosling, Ronnie Metro, and Andy Anderson taking on the team of the human video game Scott Colton, Iniestra, and the World Heavyweight Champion, the world exclusive Matt Vine. You are not going to want to miss that. Once again, I'm Justin Barlow, Premier Planet. It's been an honor, as always, being your master of ceremonies here in PPW. Don't forget, we are all over the web. Follow us on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter and Snapchat, both at Premier Planet. Subscribe to our Instagram. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, because we're constantly uploading brand new content on there. And don't forget to bookmark PremierProWrestling.com. We will see you folks out here at 1230 Davis Road in Woodstock.